Україно, рідна земля мати, Господь, Отець наш Небесний, благословіть.
And Russia's military has launched airstrikes on the Ukrainian cities of Kyiv and Kharkiv. At least 5 people were killed and 40 injured when a missile hit a residential street, damaging buildings and setting parked cars on fire. The attacks led to partial disruptions in electricity and water supply. Live to Rob McBride, who's in Kyiv for us. Talk to us about the strikes in Kyiv and Kharkiv and the extent of the damage caused.
Yeah, I mean, airstrikes have been reported at cities and locations across Ukraine. The air alarms here in the capital in Kyiv were sounded just before 6 a.m. local time. And then at about first light, just over an hour or so later, a series of thunderous explosions across the capital, around a dozen or so, as air defenses got to work intercepting missiles. The Ukrainian Air Force says that strategic bombers were detected launching they believe cruise missiles, but there have been reports of damage on about 4 or 5 districts across Kyiv, in particular in the Solomyansky district. That's quite close to central Kyiv where we are here. There were reports of falling debris, setting fire to some apartments, damaging cars, also some debris falling close to a kindergarten with a number of people being reported injured and hospitalized. There have also been reports of possibly an unexploded warhead being detected and evacuations taking place there. And then also reports of damage in Kharkiv, which has come under attack again. Nationally, the government here is saying that there have been reports of around 5 fatalities from these overnight strikes with more than 40 people injured.
Yeah, and both sides, Rob, are continuing their air campaign.
Yeah, I mean, these strikes have continued back and forth pretty consistently throughout these winter months. Just around the end of December and at the turn of New Year here in Ukraine, there were some very large missile and drone strikes on Ukrainian cities, including Kyiv. And then in the last week or so, we have seen from the Ukrainian side some longer range drone strikes deep into Russia, into Western Russia, and also at targets such as oil and gas terminals up on the Gulf of Finland, on the Baltic, which is well over 1,000 kilometers north of the Ukraine's border with Russia. This does seem to be a message from the Russians that they can strike targets wherever they like across the whole of Ukraine.
Rob, thank you very much for the updates. Rob McBride, live for us there in Kyiv.
Ukraine says at least 5 people have been killed in a wave of missile attacks overnight, with the capital Kyiv and second city Kharkiv among cities targeted. Once again, people seeing, you can see them here actually, seeking shelter in the Kyiv metro. The Ukrainian military is saying of 41 missiles launched by Russia, 21 were destroyed by air defences. The mayor of Kharkiv says 2 women were killed and nearly 40 injured in attacks there. Another woman killed in Kyiv and 2 more fatalities in the Dnipro region. I've been speaking to Sarah Rainsford. She's our correspondent in Kyiv right now. Now she's not on the roof. We normally see them up there of where the bureau is that had to go down into the basement, into the bunker.
I should just say we're reporting right now from the hotel bunker because there was an air raid just a while ago. It's now over, so people have left this area. We're just down here for the moment so we can talk to you. But this is the second air raid today. The first one was early this morning before 6 o'clock, and it lasted for 2.5 hours, which is the longest siren that sounded here since the beginning of this month. And it heralded the arrival in Ukraine, as you said, of several dozen Russian missiles. We're talking about 41 missiles, according to the Ukrainian authorities. Now, they appear to be targeting specifically Kyiv and Kharkiv, Ukraine's second city, which is, of course, very close to the border with Russia. And that fact, I think, is critical to understanding what has happened. Kharkiv has been pretty badly hit again. We know that at least 5 people have been killed. We know that several dozen people have been injured there. We've seen pictures from the scene of rubble and apartment building very, very badly damaged. I've spoken to a contact there, a woman called Natalia, who told me that she heard multiple explosions. She said, other than fear and hatred, she said, I don't feel anything. anymore. I think life there close to the Russian border is particularly difficult, of course, because it is so hard to intercept missiles that are fired at such close range. Here in Kyiv we get a bit more warning, but still the damage has been fairly extensive today. Nobody has been killed. One woman was thought to be dead. She was pulled from the rubble. She's now fighting for her life in a hospital here in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. But there is damage here. There were fires, cars set on fire, damage to residential buildings too. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has talked about what's happened overnight as an act of deliberate terror, he called it, against ordinary residential buildings. And certainly for people here, it's another reminder of this now near daily reality of air raids and fear and the threat that Russian missiles could be heading for their cities.
Ну, це було дуже страшно, і при цьому були звуки вибухів. А потім ми бачили таке оранжеве в небі, і реально, ну, це такий стрес, що я не знаю, дуже страшно реально було нам. Давайте перевіряти.
Перепрошую, ви не підкажете ці автопошкодження?